We're talking about the different types of filters for your camera lens, what they are, how they work, and which one you should buy. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back. So I get a lot of questions about filters as it relates to photography. And no, I'm not talking about Instagram filters. That's a separate video for a separate day. I'm talking about the physical filters that go on the front of your camera lens when you're out there shooting. And a lot of photographers don't use filters, and that's a personal choice, but I am here to tell you that they do work and they are a super important part of your photography kit. And having a really good, strong knowledge of the different types of filters and how each one will benefit you in a different scenario is a really great way to level up the photography that you're doing and deliver better results under any situation or scenario that you find yourself in. So I've got a couple different filters to show you guys. I'm gonna walk you through the benefits and the drawbacks, the pros and cons, show you how each one of them works, and then we'll come back at the end with a general recap and some high-level notes about filters for photography. All right, let's go. Okay, think of the UV filter as nothing more than an added layer of protection for your lens. It's kind of like that security blanket for the front element of that really nice, beautiful, expensive lens that you bought to protect it from the elements, dust, dirt, being scratched, being dropped, being hit with an object. There's a lot that can happen out there when you're out shooting in a live environment. So the UV filter is kind of like your all-encompassing protection for the front element of your lens. Now, contrary to what you would think, the UV coating on these filters does not affect the images at all on the digital sensor. So it's like if you have this on your camera, you won't even notice that it's on when it comes to looking at the pictures. Now think about this for a second. Let's say you're out shooting a baseball game and you're using a 70-200 f2.8 lens. That's your favorite bread and butter game action sports lens. And you paid about $2,000 or $2,500 for that lens, and suddenly a screaming line drive comes into the photo pit and destroys the front of your lens. Definitely not saying this has happened to me before, by the way. And although that $30 to $100 that you spent on that UV filter might be lost and out of your pocket, your $2,000 camera lens is still perfectly intact. So I highly recommend always having a UV filter on all of your lenses. Just keep in mind, they come in all of the standard lens sizes, so you've just got to match up the filter with your lens diameter size. And if you are a photographer who shoots in a fast-paced environment like sports, breaking news, or live music, you definitely want to make the investment in these UV filters because there's a lot happening out there and a lot that could go wrong with your lens. So protect your gear. Okay, number two, the polarizing filter. The circular polarizing filter, or CPL, is a filter for your lens that is comprised of two separate elements that both rotate to allow you to increase or decrease the effect of the filter. Now, the main draw with polarizing filters is that it helps to reduce reflections and reduce glare by filtering out the light that has become polarized due to a reflection from a non-metallic surface. So all that is a fancy way of saying these are great to use when you're shooting out in super bright conditions, maybe when there's a lot of sunlight. The polarizing filter will really make your colors pop in those conditions and also reduce any type of glare during those situations. Now, one thing to keep in mind with these, you want to avoid using a CPL filter when you're shooting directly into the light source like the sun. That tends to give you this banding effect, which is really difficult to correct in post-processing. And you're much better off shooting when the light source is either to the left or to the right of you. But all in all, the polarizing filter is a great option for when you're outdoors shooting in super bright conditions, maybe a bright sunny day with those big, beautiful, puffy clouds up in a bright blue sky. It'll really help to reduce glare on surfaces that are reflected off that light and also give you those really rich, bold, saturated, deep colors that you're looking for if you're into that style of photography. Now, Nisi is one of the leaders in the photography filter space, and they make some really fantastic products. They sent over a polarizing filter to try out, and I gotta say, it makes the world of difference when you're shooting in these type of conditions. Definitely worth checking out. All right, trying to get a little bit fancy here. We're talking about ND filters, neutral density filters. And what a neutral density filter does is works to drastically reduce the amount of light that's hitting your camera sensor. And the way it does this is by cutting f-stops depending on how heavy duty of an ND filter you purchase. Why would you want to cut light to your sensor? It seems kind of counterintuitive. Well, the main reason is if you shoot in bright light, it still allows you to keep your aperture down low and wide open. For example, if I wanted to shoot a portrait with a strobe light in full sunlight, say at high noon, and I had no other option to shoot later in the day, without an ND filter, I would probably have to have my aperture at least at around 5.6 or above. But if I add on the ND filter to the front of my lens, it allows me to stop all the way down, probably to around 2.8, and I can still achieve that nice blurry bokeh in the background that I like to have stylistically with my portraits. And they're also really great for landscape shooting if you want to shoot long exposure or moving subjects, but the sunlight is just simply too bright to allow you to do so and get the right exposure. It is a bit of a learning curve because for each stop of light that gets blocked by the filter, the shutter speed also doubles in duration. So you have to learn to work with the shutter speeds as you adjust your ND filter. But luckily, Nisi makes these calculations super easy with their Filters app. It's pretty cool. This is a free app that requires no data or no wireless connection, so it's really great for use out in the field. And it allows you to calculate what your shutter speed would be while you're using their ND filters of any degree. So definitely recommend checking these out from Nisi. A little bit of a trickier type of filter to use, but one that also guarantees maximum results when you are out in those tricky lighting shooting conditions. Finally, for the artistes out there, if you're really feeling artsy, you really want to start getting creative, there's some really neat special effect filters that you can check out. One cool one for sports photographers like myself is the star filter, which gives any light source in your photo kind of this twinkly spotlight effect. I've seen some really nicely done stadium shots with these type of filters. Another to check out is an infrared filter, which allows you to basically shoot with that super unique infrared, almost black and white style without actually having to convert your camera over to an infrared camera. There's also some really neat effect filters from a company called Prism Lens Effects. I've used ones like the Dream and the Haze filters that they make for portraits from time to time, and it's really cool to see the orbs and different unique lighting patterns that these can produce. Nisi also makes some really cool ones to check out, like the Streak filter and the Allure Mist Black and White filter. So there are a million different types of filters out there. These are just a few common ones that you see quite a bit and ones that'll really help you out and always good to have in your photography kit. Now, to recap, here's a couple high-level pointers and tips about filters. If you're shopping for filters, as a general rule, the main difference between an inexpensive filter and the pricier ones is in the quality of the glass, the quality of the coatings, and also the outer ring. The better filters have a brass ring, which is much more sturdy and stable, instead of an aluminum ring. When it comes to sizing, if you don't want to buy a filter for each one of the lenses you have, buy the one that fits your largest thread size, so your largest diameter lens. You can always purchase step-up rings to use those filters on your smaller lens sizes that you have in your kit. And remember, UV protects your lens, polarizing reduces reflections, darkens skies, and saturates color by reducing glare. Neutral density blocks light from your sensor, allowing you to shoot at wider apertures and blur moving objects under bright lighting conditions. And special effects filters give you those niche effects to sprinkle in from time to time. Now, for the subscribers of this channel, my friends over at Hunts Photo and Video are offering a nice 15% discount off the Nisi products on their website. I've got the link down in the description below. If you're in the market for some new filters, Nisi makes some great products and Hunts is hooking it up with the discount. So thank you to Hunts and thank you to Nisi for sending over a couple great filters to check out. And hopefully you guys found this video helpful, this breakdown of the different types of filters. But if you have any questions at all, please drop them in a comment down below. If you have any thoughts or experience using any of these types of filters before, I'd love to hear about it. Drop it down in the comments section. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're pushing on to 3,000 subscribers. Very cool, guys. I appreciate it. Good luck out there with the filters.